Where is it? Good evening, everybody. My name is Kwame Afray. The date today is November 6th. The time is 7:35, and I call this Community Board Land Use Committee meeting to order. Can everybody hear me? Before I get started?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Excellent.
Yes.
So we're going to start the meeting off with just giving some condolences and sending some prayers out to anybody who had family that had some impact from the recent hurricanes in the Caribbean. I did get some notifications that there's some no-fly orders for Jamaica and Haiti currently. So anybody that dealt with that, our thoughts and prayers go out to you. And I believe there's going to be some resources, hopefully, so we can send some packaged goods there. I'm waiting for some of our elected officials to come back with that information. And now I'll lead into our proffer, the thing that describes what we do as a committee. Just for anybody who hasn't been here before, our committee advocates for the responsible planning and development within the district. We provide input on zoning changes, business improvement districts, variances, special permits, and other land use matters in accordance with the New York City Charter. We strive for balance and the preservation of our community's character with the need for thoughtful development that benefits all residents. Our responsibilities include landmarks, historic preservations, housing issues, and budget matters related to HPD, the DOB, and the DCP, right? We'll get into some news. I did get a notification about the IBX. They will be having another public hearing in Brooklyn on November 20th at the Brooklyn Public Library at Sunset Park. I believe they had another, I believe the other one that was in Brooklyn was at the same location. They did mention inside of the invitation that that even though that this is happening during the public review comment period, there won't be an opportunity to formally review or make comments in person. They've created some system where you'll write your answers down, submit them, and then they'll formally respond to your comments in time. I believe you have to do that on the website, and to get access to the particular meeting which I'm speaking of, they'd like you to register, but I'm pretty sure if you were to show up, you would not be denied entry. Following that, on October 30th, we all know about the rainfall and flooding that happened throughout New York City. It was a combination of having subsequent rainfall over a certain period, but the accumulation of water actually occurred during a 10-minute period where we got a drastic amount of rain within a 10-minute period, which overflowed all of the infrastructure and made any debris go over the catch basins, which ultimately left some serious areas in Brooklyn flooded. The total rainfall was approximately 2 inches, and the concentrated burst overwhelmed not only the storm drains, it flooded several basements in Brooklyn, causing 2 casualties in the process. We've spoken about our infrastructure needs, but we also need to start having a conversation about how frequently we have these recurring freak weather incidents, right? Rain, it's been raining. I mean, we all know that, but having a burst of rain that delivers that amount of rain in a short period of time isn't as common, at least that I can remember in recent times. We knew that a lot of catch basins got flooded, some substations got overwhelmed. I believe even our community board office caught some rain and had about 4 to 6 inches of rain inside of it. So we weren't excluded from being affected by that, along with the stranded vehicles that happened. There will be a question period, and I'd like to know if anybody was affected and how so, and what caused it, if you knew so, outside of the actual rain happening in a short time frame. If there was something you noticed, if there was something that could have been prevented to alleviate it, but I don't know if anyone could have predicted that that would have happened in that short time frame. The next topic of discussion is the ballot proposals. We know on Tuesday night, we will be going into 2026 under a new administration, which was always going to be the case. The mayor-elect Zara Mandani will be taking office, but this conversation is leading more towards the ballot proposal questions, which were associated with your ballot for voting, right? We had a discussion at the last meeting. I'm not sure if you're aware of the results of the ballot proposal questions, so I'm going to go over that now, and I'll follow up with how it affects us as a committee moving forward. And hopefully we could come up with some suggestions of how to deal with what I perceive will be coming. So ballot proposal number 1, which had to do with the Adirondacks Sports Complex, passed with 52% yes. Ballot proposal 2 also passed, which is to fast track affordable housing to build more across the city with 58.3% voting yes. Ballot proposal 3, simplify the review of modest housing and infrastructure projects, passed with 56.8%. I'm kind of surprised that these passed like this. Ballot proposal 4, establish affordable housing appeals board with council, borough president of the borough and citywide representation, also passed with 58.3%. Number 5, create a digital map to modernize city operations, passed with 73.3%. And number 6, to move the elections to the presidential years to increase voter population, failed, with 53.1% voting no for that. Because I'm trying to color this in the right way. We have to discuss what these ballot proposals mean for us as a committee and what to expect moving forward. As we get a new administration, they start transitioning their people into these particular seats and areas. But prior to his administration, Mr. Adams left us with a little gift that we're going to have to deal with, right? So skip over 1 because it doesn't really affect us, but you increase the amount of forest land to 2,500 acres for an Olympic proposal. Land could always be used, right, for other items. We won't have to deal with the idea of having a white elephant in the forest like other Olympic cities, right? Number 2, fast tracking affordable housing to build more across the city. As a committee, we're going to have to be prepared to review more projects in a more rapid pace. I think that anybody who's been here for a while knows that we've been reviewing, or we haven't had many URLIP applications in the past years. This proposal is going to change that, right? It's going to increase the quantity and the concentration of applications that we're going to see moving forward. We're also going to have more urgency because we understand that we have that 60-day cap to review these applications. Another negative effect is because the city council or the council won't have the final say in certain cases, right? Usually we're leading these applications, and our position usually gets supported by our local council people and our local council member downstream to keep eyes on the application to fortify our position. We've effectively voted to not have that with this passing, right? And we know that the way our district is currently compromised or composed with lower incomes, that we will be a target for this. They're going to be coming after us, and there's going to be applications flooding in just because of this proposal and how it was constructed, right? We can discuss it a little bit later. Please keep your questions to the end if you have any, because it's a lot of information to go through. Ballot proposal number 3, simplify the review of modern housing and infrastructure projects, right? It's almost like a catch-all, right? I'm pretty sure if one or the other or all 3 or 4 of these didn't go through, it wouldn't have been as impactful. But the fact that all of them did, right, along with the city of yes, we're going to have a couple of things to look forward to. We're going to start seeing a different mix of smaller scale applications, which we haven't seen before, right? We usually don't get any URLIP applications in our district. One, because there's a lot of unutilized FAR. People could just use as of right to build, right? And not and in the past, knowing that and our reputation for doing denials, we've never really had to introduce or really entertain many of these proposals. Typically, developers would go and build as of right, and not do that. But now with the ELERP, which is an expedited version of the process that we've been performing for the last year, not only will we have the 60-day review in the path, now we have a situation where the city council is removed as the final decision maker in these particular applications, right? So it's going to end up going to a board, which I believe consists of the mayor, the borough president, and the council speaker to finalize this. It's something that we're going to have to pay attention to. It's something that we're going to have to keep a ledger on to see how our recommendations are considered, if considered at all, moving forward. And that's going to be the only thing that's going to allow us to measure what our influence is on these particular applications moving forward. Ballot proposal number 4, which is establish an affordable housing appeals court with the council, borough president, citywide representation. The committee usually doesn't have any power for appeals, right? We usually put our application in, it goes through the process. We've been in a situation where appeals have happened, but our recommendation stands. We have to anticipate that as these applications in the future go downstream, that we're going to have a little bit less influence as we don't have our council member. Well, effectively, they've been muzzled, right? Even though they can speak, they don't necessarily have the final say, and they can't influence their constituents and their comrades to favor or support us, right? It's going to be interesting to see how that changes the transformation. I kind of feel like a good job wasn't really done to educate the voting populace on what they were voting for, because I'm pretty sure if they understood, it was worded, I'm going to say it was worded very eloquently, and all of the information was in the beginning. And then if you didn't read and run through the tape, you didn't really understand what you were actually saying yes to, right? Number 5 is the digital maps, which I think will actually be a benefit to us, right? We utilize some of the city systems now. If there was something that could bring all of that into one place and we could separate the issues via layers, we'd be able to identify the issues that we've been dealing with for a while. And it could streamline anything from infrastructure issues to zoning, to parcel information, even potentially sanitation and their routes. I mean, all of these, or maybe even the police officers and the NY and the FDNY. All of these agencies are currently being tracked and monitored anyway. So to display that information on the app in a not intrusive way could be beneficial for us as a committee, being that we utilize that information to find various things when we're trying to find issues with land, even in Commerce's case, for someone that doesn't go to the meeting, if they want to look up a particular business to see its history. We don't really know what that's going to look like, but I don't anticipate that that's going to be ultimately a bad thing. And number 6 was a no, which I was actually shocked by, being that everything before was a yes. The offset years, in my opinion, are good, right? You get to see how administration performs. You're not really in line with the political dollars and the all of the stuff that surrounds a presidential election, right? It usually comes in waves, and being a little bit offset from those waves, I think will be beneficial. It allows us to adjust. It allows us to kind of see how administration is behaving and then move accordingly, to not be totally in line. I'm pretty sure if this election happened last year, the person that's sitting in the chair or will be sitting in the chair wouldn't have won. I think that we could all agree to that. These are the things. Hold on a second. Yeah, I did look into the lithium battery factory. I didn't get any input back on that. I mentioned the IBX project. I did reach out to somebody about the rideshare programs. They've been rolling them out and taking spots away from certain residents. That's obvious. We knew that. It doesn't seem to be increasing at an alarming rate, but it is increasing. People are losing some parking spots. I'm not really sure why they wouldn't use anything that's muni meter to facilitate a project like that, but it's all money based. We know that. That's all I have in front of me now. and I open the floor for questions for anybody who has it. You can start by raising your hand if you have some, or I'm gonna review the chat now. Anybody? Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for sharing the details. You're acknowledged, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson? Reading your comment. We received flooding on Whitty Lane because of the housing complex on Clarendon Garden has a used parking lot with non-functional storm drains. The storm water runs off their property and down the corner. Okay. I'm not sure if that's what you were raising your hand. Oh, okay. Mr. Johnson, you're on there
Yes.
twice.
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah. Now I'm not sure if the community board does it, but when we have elections and it seems that they want to get a little funny with the language, is there any way we can just put it out to the community in layman's terms what it is that they're actually trying to achieve? That way, when, the voters go to the polls and they're reading, these descriptions and, they're not really sure what it's about, at least they kind of get an idea of what's going on.
Yeah, we actually attempted to do that. We actually held the town hall trying to spread the information on it.
Okay.
A lot of it didn't have really good turnout per se, because by the time we actually had the ballot questions in hand and we started reviewing it, it was kind of close to when the early voting period started. But we did attempt, or not even
How
attempt, we did have a town hall.
how was the community notified? I don't recall receiving any emails about that.
I believe it went out via flyer and subsequent to anybody that was on our email thread. Naushin, could you input on that?
It went out to everyone on our mailing list. So that's, if you got tonight's meeting, then you're enrolled in our newsletter. And I sent it out a couple of times, like 3 or 4 times. It was also on our website and stuff like that too. And we mentioned it too a couple of times during the meetings, general board meetings and such.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't recall. Okay, and the second thing, I don't want to take up all the time, but now regarding this flooding situation with Clarendon Gardens, it happens every time we have a huge rainstorm. Now, what happens is I contacted the city, and according to the buildings department, they have to have a representative actually see the storm drain and the sitting water. But the thing is, by the time they arrive, everything
subsides,
evaporated or subsides, and we don't have a leg to stand on. So, I mean, do we have any options regarding this?
We could contact our representatives at the DEP. It's definitely
Okay.
a storm drain issue.
Oh, it's definitely a storm drain issue. I took photos, I took videos. According to
Is
the
this the
building
same issue
department,
from before that we was from several years ago when we had something similar? The last intense.
it probably is, because they're the main reason why we're having flooding issues over here, because the property owners refuse to unclog their drains on that property. So everything just, I'm talking about, they have maybe one drain and it's clogged, and everything just is running right off their property down to the catch basin on the corner, and then before you know it, within minutes, we're pumping water out of our basements.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like we spoke about this before. I'm gonna ask Naushin now. Can you just put that on the list? This is an occurring incident. It happens. Obviously, we had a freak storm, but it's been happening for years before that.
Right.
I don't think that it actually requires intense rain. If it rains long enough, there is always some flooding on Whitty Lane. There's just been a historical thing. At this point, if there's something that can be done or could have been done to prevent, what happened last week from being worse than it was, then we'll have to reach out to our
Right.
representative. If I'm correct, I believe it's the DEP that's responsible for unclogging the drains. And
Right.
sanitation would be
Well,
for the debris.
we on
So,
Woody Lane, we maintain the drains. That's not even a problem. And the city installed those rain gardens. That
mhm,
helps with the rainwater coming from Avenue D. That
mhm,
helps. But it's just Clarendon Gardens. That's the main
okay.
issue.
All right. Let's see if we can reach out
Okay.
to somebody and look into that for you. All
All
right.
right. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Thank you for the notification.
No problem.
I'm not sure which hands came up first. I'm gonna go with Ms. Viglianti. You acknowledge.
Hi, good evening. I noticed that we had our street regraded about 3 or 4 years ago, and since then we've had incredible flooding. And I really think in our case anyway, the way they regraded the street is part of the problem because they the street used to be basically flat, and it kind of goes down to the end where the drain is, where the sewers are. But now they've made it so that the middle of the street
It's
is
higher.
higher, and
Yeah.
so all the water goes down to curbs on each side of the street. And instead of just flooding at the curb, it goes over the curb, comes all the way up to our driveways, and sometimes down our driveways, and then we end up with flooded drains in the driveway, and then that goes into the house. So I don't know if other people have had that problem, but I noticed it on our street.
So when do you recall when it was paved? Was that this calendar year? It was repaved? Or when did
No,
you start noticing
it
the
was
issue?
regraded. It was it wasn't only repaved, it was regraded in the sense that they actually reshaped it.
Well,
You know, so and it was about 2 or 3 years ago.
would you mind sharing the street?
Oh, sure. It's East 49th between Foster
Yeah,
and Farragut.
thank you.
Mhm.
We'll have to reach out to the DOT. What's that, Farragut, right?
Yes.
We'll have to reach out to
Yes.
the DOT, another department. It's all contributing to the same issue. Everyone's contributing in some way to the issue.
Yeah.
All right, I'll look into
Thank you.
that. Is then before I move on to Allison, is anybody else experiencing a similar situation? If so, could you put it in the chat? Um, and if you don't mind sharing your street, Miss Martinez.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to note that Brooklyn Level Up is working on a project called Rain Activated, which is about sharing. We're working on creating and almost finished with a flooding toolkit of resources for specifically derived for this community. And we're also trying to collect stories about flooding and also the locations on a map and working with some community partners about solutions, especially for flooding that's occurring in the shared and community driveways. We have also working with Assembly member Monique Chandler Waterman's office on building like an environmental justice related committee for 8058's task force. And we definitely want to get your information and resource and stories about what's happening and where so we can help to connect people with the right technical assistance for dealing with the flooding that we're definitely going to be dealing with long into the future as a result of climate change and the like. So I'm going to put my contact information in the chat, and if you want to reach out and so we can collect that data, I'd really appreciate it and like to be able to assist where we can. We will also
Thank you.
actually have a rain activated event on November 22nd from 1 to 4, but we haven't finished identifying the location of where it will be just yet. We could also talk to professionals about this stuff.
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions? He's 39. Sorry, he's 39. Ms. Erskine, could you speak to the nature of the flooding? Do you know what the cause is? So we can direct the. Sorry.
Can you hear me? Am
Yeah, I can
I,
hear you.
okay. Well, the drains at the north end of the block, and I've noticed it on East 37th as well, when there's a hard rain, they get overwhelmed, and moving as we move north, I mean, as you move south on both of those streets, the basements get flooded. This is the second time for my house. I realized that the one last Thursday was unique to some degree, but I do think that it's going to become less unique as time goes on, as
Yeah.
Allison pointed out. The people on the block are pretty on top of it. They're, out in slickers, clearing the leaves out. They get blocked up by the leaves. And that's the main problem. And then what happens is our drains at the bottom, all of our driveways come down from the street, the house and the drains at the bottom of the driveways, those get overwhelmed. And then that's when the water goes into the basement. I don't know what the solution is. I mean, there's leaves. It's like, but I
Yeah.
do think that it's not, it needs to be addressed, because this time the flooding affected houses further south than it has before. 2 houses south of mine, I've been flooded before, but 2 houses south of mine got flooding, and they've never been flooded before, and they've been here for decades, those homeowners. So I don't know what this. We just have to have a much better. I do think. I mean, we're all cement and asphalt, so the rain's got nowhere to go but the street. I think that there has to be more effective street architecture in terms of the rain gardens. I know they're not popular with everyone, but anywhere you have dirt, you have rain being soaked up. For the most part, not in the huge deluges, it can't soak up fast enough. But if we can work out how to do that more, that's it.
And it's a combination of things with several departments. We already know that the infrastructure is not supported. It's definitely not strong enough to take that type of intensity and that amount of rain. But something has to be done. And something has to be done to address it. I agree that I feel like it's going to start happening more often, and this is probably going to end up being the normal. So if the subways are getting flooded the way that we saw, and um, certain areas are that deep underwater that you wouldn't anticipate, then there's a bigger issue that's happening. We're registering the complaints now. We'll try to contact the departments and just let them know, but I'm pretty sure that we'll be behind on a very long list of things that happened in the last week. Miss Martinez, you're acknowledged.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
I believe that a lot of what contributes to this flooding, which we've never experienced in over all the years that I've lived around here, is the fact that none of the agencies do their job in our community. The trees are not pruned or cared for by the city. The sanitation, I mean, granted, some of our residents contribute to the trash that's all over the street. All that flows down to the catch basins, no matter how much you try to keep those clean. And basically, our community has not received any improvement in the infrastructure, and we need larger sewer system because we have more people living here. We have a lot more buildings that were put up without any improvement at all to these systems, and so they put strain on the system, because people are getting backups for many years with not even that much rain into their bubbling in their toilets and all this sludge coming up in their homes. That can't be healthy either. And we have to have some much better service here.
It's definitely a diminished service, and I think even the MTA chair said last week that there's been improvements to all the buildings and nothing for the infrastructure that serves them, which is all a contributing factor. Um, this is all stuff that we know. We know we've been experiencing, we've been dealing with it, we've been echoing these issues, and it seems like if it's not one agency or another, there seems to be a serious failure when it comes to these storms. I mean, we had the proffer with Sandy. We I mean, that was a hurricane, so to speak, but it seemed hurricane-like for 10 minutes last week, and everything fell apart very quickly, and it didn't go away fast either. It was pretty much into the evening. By the time I came out of where I was, it had stopped raining. But I did see with my own eyes in that short period what happened. We're gonna try to see what we could do and who we could speak to. It's becoming more of a common thing, and we're good for at least one a year at this point. And who knows what the winter has to offer us. But uh, Joan,
Yeah, hi. On that, I would like to say that our gutters were working fine. I mean, I looked out because it starts raining around here. I look out to sorry about that. I look out to see what's happening in the gutter in front of my house, and it was doing fine. And I went down to my basement, and it was fine. I came upstairs. 2 minutes later, I went down to the basement, and I had 1.5 feet of water there. So it happened very fast.
Mhm.
So that's something, but with that, we can't say, oh, this is unusual. It's like that's going to start becoming more and more a case. But the other thing I wanted to say was, we're going to be talking about how we're going to deal with the new rules on housing going up, and there's going to be less review. There's going to be less people looking at it, and this is something, when they put in this new housing, we have to figure out a way. I think it would behoove us to figure out a way to say, you have to look at the infrastructure, you have to look at the drainage, you have to look at the plumbing, you have to look at the electrical, demanding that the developers or the people who want to put in these added units address those issues, because Hazel is exactly right. They come in, they put in more stuff, and there's been no upgrade to the infrastructure to support. So maybe it would behoove us to figure out ways to make that front and center when the people who now have the power, which is going to be predominantly the mayor's office, weigh in.
I don't disagree. I shared in the chat, Mr. Johnson. There's something that was installed in our neighborhood a couple of years ago during the storm or shortly after. It does register and historically monitors the flooding in various areas within our district. I think that we have about 5 or 6 flood.net registers. I believe if you log in, you'll get the historical data, and it does show the accumulation of water. Not everywhere, because they're not on every block, but they are spread out enough. If not, I think that we probably need even more of them installed, just so we can have a historical record to prove not only through our videos and our experiences, but with data, what's actually happening here. So give that website a look. It's something we discussed last year. Every so often I do go on there, and it is registering rainfall. It's doing what it's designed to do. Ms. Martinez?
Oh, well, I know about FloodNet. I mean, in the beginning, they didn't have any in our community, and I just happened to go with Allison to something and realized that none were in this community. And if you don't inform them of where you need it, we will not have them in our community. And the other thing is, our community does not file
Enough.
complaints with 311, and that is something that you really have to impress upon people, because they use that as data to do whatever else they're going to do. So
Sure.
they don't know that your basement was flooded if you only complain to your neighbor. You have to get a complaint number.
It is important. The 301 calls, as annoying as they are, as inefficient as they seem, is a data point, and probably one of the only data points that especially the mayor office uses to register and acknowledge issues. This should be the first step in most cases. And obviously, if it doesn't happen there, then the next step will be to contact us or the board office to to take it a step further. But it should be the initial step with any complaint, regardless of the um, agency, and at least you have a registered complaint somewhere. You know, it's something that we have to. It's true that we need to inform everybody that that should be the step, and that should be the steps that are taken in that order. The only way to show an issue is to have the data to back it. Sometimes the stories aren't enough. What do we have? All right. I think we can go into. Let's see how many people are here. Sorry. Into the meeting minutes. We can do that. Everybody had the chance or the time to review the meeting minutes from last meeting. If somebody call for a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
I move to approve the meeting minutes. Joan Erskine.
Do we have a second?
Allison Martinez, second.
All right. Is any debate or any amendments or adjustment that need to be made to the minutes at this time? Seeing none, I'll do a voice one for this. All in favor of approving the meeting minutes for October 6th, 2025 for the Land Use Committee meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed,
Aye.
all right.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. On any registered abstentions? Excellent. The motion has been moved and properly seconded and passed. The meeting minutes are approved. I do want to ask before I get into the unfinished business. How was everybody's voting experience this time around? Does anybody have any interesting or input on the voting experience this time? Did people wait for the actual day to vote? Did they go for early voting?
I did
Anything?
early voting, Teresa Burton,
All right.
and it was pretty calm and smooth.
All right. Did you utilize the fast pass or the fast voting feature where you had like something on your phone, you showed them, they scanned it?
No, I did not.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm.
So moving the meeting along. Early voting. All right. Okay, moving it along. Okay, we'll move over to unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business we'd like to be addressed? Anybody? That's it. Okay. Moving along to new business. Do we have any new business? One of them days, huh?
Joan Erskine here. I'm sorry, didn't raise my hand. Do
Okay.
we want to, as a community board, start addressing this flooding issue? What can we do? How do we address it? Because it's only gonna get worse. So how do we go forward? Can we go forward? I don't know. I have no idea.
Collecting our issues internally and using the data points that's available in the system to support a document potentially that could be distributed to the people that represent us. Is step probably number one. I mean, that's where it always goes, right? The issue, not really an issue, but we just have to make sure that composition does include the several departments, because even from hearing the stories today, it's a combination of at least not only negligence on the building department's part. If you're talking about, Clarendon Gardens, then you have flooded catch basins that are not clogged, which is the EP, and you have sanitation. As long as we start the conversation, um, which I actually have to get with the other chairs to see what their experiences are. I have to speak to Mr. Hill and Dr. Renault, which I don't believe is in right now, to try to, get everything together and start there. We've done it in the past. It really wasn't, nothing really moved the needle. But if we were talking about a place to start, it's to start with that and then to follow up consistently to make sure that we get some issues acknowledged and addressed. Ms. Martinez?
I would suggest you could also, we'd be happy to partner with the community board to help gather the data. We have a community mapping tool where we're trying to collect this information about what's happening so then we could work with professionals that we know to devise plans. Some of that will obviously involve working with elected officials for larger actions, but we need like a neighborhood scale plan. And the reality is there's some spaces like with shared driveways or community drives where that is actually the purview and responsibility of the homeowners themselves. And a lot of people buy homes with shared spaces, not thinking about the realities that most homeowners don't work together dealing with these things. And those
Yeah.
shared driveways and the like often fall into disrepair and are not able to soak up, obviously can't keep up with the rain, and there may have to be some decisions made about what mitigation solutions are available that they could work together. But that also takes people collaborating together, looking for grant opportunities or low cost loans. And we're trying to figure out what a good strategy could be to support that work. Also with, I do think that the accessory dwelling unit program that it was approved through City of Yes will provide an opportunities with basement apartments for people to think about how they could legalize those basement apartments and address flood mitigation issues at the same time. So that may be a strategy that people could use in the here and now, as opposed to, just hoping that some solution is going to appear through an elected official's office alone. But if you want to collaborate on that, we're happy to do that together.
Yeah, we would love to collaborate.
Okay.
So that being an issue, we'll reach out. And it's something that we obviously need to address. It's a community-wide issue. It's not just something that we deal with here. I'm pretty sure there are complaints and other issues happening in other meetings as well. Maybe we'll bring it up at the general board meeting. Unfortunately, the executive meeting passed the first Monday. I would have brought it up there, but we'll bring it up at the general board meeting and see if we can bring some attention to get behind it. Regarding new business, I don't think we have any new business. I don't think we had. Oh, we were originally going to have a joint committee meeting with the housing committee to go over a potential development that was coming to the neighborhood. One of the speakers did cancel, so that didn't happen. It would have happened yesterday. But I'll keep you apprised of how that develops. The office is trying to see if we can coordinate another date or seeing if they'll come out. It may be our next meeting, may be a joint meeting if we could get the dates and the timeframes in line with the data. None of the actual details for the development were shared outside of the general description, so it was nothing that I could share with you. We were going to be notified about that at the joint meeting time. So as that develops, I'll reach out to you, but it may be a possibility that next month's meeting could possibly be a joint meeting with the housing committee, depending on which date is the better date for the speaker. It could either be our normal day or a day prior, depending on how the month lands. I just want to share that information. All right. Hands. Hazel.
Yes. Do you know where this development is or what it is? Because we listen to all these developments, but they don't really benefit our community at all in the end.
There was some general information. It would take me a while to pull up the email. Max Notion. Do you have that information? Did they give us like a location or proffer? of where it was going to be, but I didn't see a flyer or any attachment.
I don't recall seeing any attachments either, but I would have to scrub my inbox.
Yeah,
So if I find anything, I can get back to you guys. I can.
type it in now. I don't believe there was much inside of the details, but let me see if I can pull up something really quickly.
Because when, you had Bethany houses, you have Utica Crescent, none of them are really going to benefit our community. So we're just getting these things.
All right. 2 applications submitted to the board. It's Colorant Flatbush Inc., 125 East 55th Street. And it was supposed to be a shelter on the north side of Vanderveer Estates housing projects for 128
That's not a
families.
project.
Shelter to be sited north of Vanderveer Estates housing project. So they didn't really give a location for that.
No, we have enough shelters.
Yeah. So those are the 2 things. What was it? 128 families for children, nonprofit service provider, Samaritan Daytop Village, anticipated opening summer of 2028. That's all the information that we got.
That should be enough.
That's all the information that we got. So moving forward, you're looking at a potential shelter and you're looking at a project which doesn't really have much details, but it's 125 East 55th Street. If anybody's in that area, you can go to the site and see what kind of parcel it is. And hopefully there's some information we could even pull from that to see what the potentials are. But if they're bringing an application to us, the idea is that it's probably not going to be within the foregrounds or within the guidelines of what they could build there currently,
No, because that's somewhere near Clarkson Avenue or
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah.
and that's just mainly little homes.
I'm sorry, you said 125 East 55th?
That's what it says. Mhm. That's what it says. Again, I didn't see the actual application, so it was shot out to us. And 2 things, I'm sure they don't have any nothing that they've shared with the community, at least proposals or any renderings of what their plan is. So the meeting was supposed to be an open forum to have those discussions and see what was going on, but we couldn't get the 2 parties to, or any party really, to commit. All right. Allison?
I'm just looking up that property, the
Mhm.
East
Yeah,
55th Street one.
I wanted to look it up myself, actually.
Yeah,
Let
it's
me see.
R6 and it's got like a
It's a
extra
house.
buildable area of, it's a house, but it has extra buildable area of like 7,880 square feet. So I'm like, how much larger of a building is it that they want to build
So they're trying to put
that?
yeah. R6 is bad enough. I think that we can see
Yeah,
that.
but I'm like, you already have almost 8,000 extra square feet.
But
So
what's there now? Is there like
A
a
house.
2-family home there
a
now?
house.
Or
It's a
It's like a
house.
one family.
I'm trying to see. It's not coming up for me. Hold on.
Yeah,
It
it's a
seems
2-family
suitable
house.
for like railroad apartments.
Okay, I see it.
Yeah, it's a house.
Yeah. Yeah, a house. A 2-family house in the R6 zone. Who would have thought? Yeah, when you look how wide the lot is, yeah,
Hmm.
I can see what's going on. Okay. If anybody's in that area, try to keep eyes on this if you can.
Mm-hmm.
If you see any activity or anything pertaining to it, I mean, we know. I'm gonna look up on my own. I can't get Zola to work for me right now. We're gonna monitor, and I gotta call Ms. Frazier to see. We spoke about trying to get notified by the DOB when certain permits get pulled in our neighborhood. I have to follow up with that, especially new housing and excavation permits. I wanted to see if we can get notified when those things happen, or demolition permits for a building, because then it will be an early alert of what's to come. Does anybody have anything on the ballot proposals before we close out? Do we understand what we're gonna be anticipating? Do we know what's gonna be or what to expect? Does anybody doesn't understand any particular proposals and need a little bit of attention or a little bit of an explanation of what the ramifications are? We're trying to make it clear. So as it comes, as a committee, we're gonna have to be as sharp and as quick as ever, especially if the volume increases. We've had a lot of practice, but we're probably gonna get stretched um, pretty thin when these things become activated. Hand, I see a hand. Allison?
Sorry, that's residual.
Okay. All right. Somebody on the phone? Any questions? All right. That's it. I guess we're ready to adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Somebody make a motion to adjourn?
Joan Erskine, I move to adjourn.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second, Teresa Brereton.
Motion's been moved and properly seconded. Good night, everybody.
Did you do
Look
attendance?
out it. I didn't.
Okay.
Good.
Really?
I did, but yeah, it kind of does it for me, but I didn't.
I didn't hear
I
my
didn't-
name.
Gina Watson
I
is
didn't hear
here.
my name.
Yeah, no,
I'll
I
take a
see your
look at
names.
the attendance when I do the minutes and stuff. So
Yeah,
everyone
it's
who
on the
is here,
minutes, yeah.
I'll take care of it.
It
Okay,
captures
fine.
it.
Gina
It
Watson
captures
is here.
I like that.
Teresa
Noreen
Brereton
George
is
is
here.
here.
I got you. Oh,
Hazel Martinez.
also,
Go in the text.
sorry.
Go in the text.
Before we adjourn officially, I do want to mention that one of our active members, Mr. Tate, did lose his brother recently. I believe he has. I don't have the details in front of me. I wanted to. He has his brother's passing. I think it's this weekend. I'm not sure.
It's Saturday.
Yeah. So
It's Saturday.
George Tate. Yeah. Anybody can share?
It's Saturday morning at El Carib, at Carib Funeral Home on Utica Avenue.
On Utica Avenue. Okay.
And it is,
So
it's viewing is from 8 to 9 and the service is 9 to 10.
all right. Anybody knows George
And
Tate
it's-
knows that
Yes.
he's always been supportive for us. He's always been
Yeah.
there. So if you do have the time to give him support in this time of need, it would be a great time to try to show him and lift him up.
Yes.
And at this harsh time, he would be here if he could, but it never gets easy. Losing people. I myself have to go out on my father on Saturday at his funeral, at his grave site. So it's something that you never get over losing family. It's not something that's easily it's not easy to manage. But we adjourn the meeting as such. We'll try to share that information. And I did take a screenshot of the name, so I have it. Just want to identify the person that was on the phone.
You left me on this and you come back in the morning, right?
All right, Miss Noreen. Person on the phone.
Do you
could
have Gina
verify?
Watson down for attendance?
I do.
Thank you.
I
Do you
do.
have
Yeah.
Lilius Heron Robinson down for
We do.
attendance?
We have you.
Thank
We have Ms. Viglianti. We have Noreen George. We have Rudolph Bentley, Teresa Brereton, Valerie, the Martinezes, Bree, CK. Just not sure who's on the phone.
Noreen George.
I have you, Miss George. I'm just not sure who's on the phone, but that's okay. The meeting's adjourned. You guys have a good night. Get in contact with me if you see anything. If anybody wants to have any more intimate conversations about the proposals, because you don't want to have it on a public forum, please just reach out to me. We'll speak about it. And I've been having these conversations even prior up to the election day. So if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out and have a good night.
Good
All right?
night. Mhm.
All right.
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good evening.
Send them an email.
Hey, now, Shan, you there? Notion? No? Okay. All right. Got it. Have a good night, Mr. Johnson.